Davis confronted so many crises in that inaugural speech, talked about the constant struggle in America, the struggle that is as long as our republic, as old as our republic routine, our ideals, and the ugly reality of racism and nativism.
Right, and he also said the same words that Abraham Lincoln said in his first inaugural speech when he talked about making that appeal to the better angels of our nature. You know, I think I have to just talk about 22-year-old Amanda Gorman just for a moment, because that was more than a poem, that was preaching. And it was preaching born out of wisdom, passion, and dare I say pain. You know, her poem was entitled "The Hill We Climb," and of course this was not so much about Capitol Hill as much as it was the uphill battle that's been faced by so many Americans. And George, I just have to say, it has been a long time coming for black and brown Americans. And, you know, President Joe Biden has long talked about, fighting for the soul of America. And he referenced that today. And he said, my whole soul is in this. And I think that Amanda, what she did was she revealed a bit of that soul for us in her poem. I do think that President Biden struck the right tone. The question now is, you know, will it resonate for Americans? And just one additional point, Madam Vice President Kamala Harris has issued her first tweet on her official vice presidential Twitter, ready to serve.
She is ready to serve. She is serving now as Vice President of the United States. John Carl, vintage Joe Biden in other ways as well, referencing his mother, talking about how we all have to open our souls instead of hardening our hearts. We've talked about this before. We talked about it during the campaign. His empathy has been his core, the core value that he's always expressed. He's calling on all Americans to share it.
It's what's defined him. It's what's defined him since he first came into the Senate after the tragic deaths of his wife and his child. I mean, I thought just for a moment, George, Amanda Gorman, again, I think it was a memorable speech for Joe Biden, an important speech, the most important speech of his life. I think we will also remember Amanda Gorman. And the line that struck out to me was, even as we hurt, we hope. And the other thing, sandwiched in between, on the other side of Biden's speech, his Reverend Beeman saying, we must make friends of our enemies. We must make friends of our enemies, which defined the challenge that Biden takes on right now. And the line in Biden's speech that stood out to me was when he said, there is truth and there are lies. It's such a simple line, George. It is a platitude in any other context. But where we are now, the divisions that we face, we must make friends of our enemies, the challenge in doing that is that we have not simply enemies in a political context, but we have divided camps that do not accept the same definition of what is true and what is a lie. The people that stormed that Capitol in the name of a lie that was perpetrated and expanded on and pushed at every point by Biden's predecessor. So when he came out and said that line, again, that simple line, there is truth and there are lies, if he can convince us, if he can convince Americans of that once again, he'll go a long way to accomplishing what he needs to accomplish.